Emily Murphy's letter never refers to Joe Biden as the president-elect. Emily Murphy's letter never refers to Joe Biden as the apparent successful candidate for president. Emily Murphy's letter never says that she has ascertained that Joe Biden is the apparent successful candidate and the president-elect. Instead, Emily Murphy's letter simply says, quote, because of recent developments involving legal challenges and certifications of election results, I have determined that you may access the post-election resources and services. And by law, the only people who are legally allowed to access those resources and services are the president-elect and the vice president-elect. But Emily Murphy cannot bring herself to use those words, surely because she knows Donald Trump doesn't want her to use those words. Emily Murphy's letter begs Joe Biden and us and history to believe something that is, you know what? I'm not going to finish that sentence. I'm going to let you decide. Belief is yours to give or withhold when you hear what Emily Murphy had to say. And this is it. She wrote, please know that I came to my decision independently based on the law and available facts. I was never directly or indirectly pressured by any executive branch official, including those who work at the White House or GSA, with regard to the substance or timing of my decision. And immediately after Emily Murphy's letter became public, someone who works at the White House tweeted, I am recommending that Emily and her team do what needs to be done with regard to initial protocols and have told my team to do the same. So Donald Trump says Emily Murphy is lying. Donald Trump says the decision was up to him. Donald Trump says, I am recommending Emily and her team do what needs to be done. Last week, the White House press secretary was trying to make it look legit when she said, quote, it is up to the GSA to what we call reach ascertainment for an election. They are independent of us, and they haven't declared that just yet. But also last week, Emily Murphy sent her friends out to defend her to reporters. The only friend who allowed his name to actually be used, to be identified by name, was Jack St. John, Emily Murphy's former chief of staff at the GSA, and also the former general counsel at the GSA, who is now in the private sector. So Jack St. John was the GSA's top lawyer. And what he told the Washington Post in defending Emily Murphy was, quote, by law, the GSA administrator reports to the president and is subject to his direction and control. So the extent Emily has been instructed to withhold ascertainment, she really doesn't have any good options. That was the former lawyer for the General Services Administration, who was also Emily Murphy's former chief of staff, telling you that Emily Murphy was being instructed by the president to withhold ascertainment, illegally instructed. Jack St. John was wrong about the law. The law does not give the president the power to withhold ascertainment. The law orders Emily Murphy to ascertain the apparent winner as soon as that information is available, and it was available on November 7th. And then last week, another unnamed friend of Emily Murphy defended her this way to the Washington Post after being identified as an unnamed senior Trump administration official. Quote, the president does not want a transition, the official said. He's made that very clear. We are following orders. Now, there is no good choice tonight about who to believe here. Donald Trump has lied to us before. Jack St. John lies about the law while he's telling us that the president has ordered Emily Murphy to withhold ascertainment. And then the unnamed Trump official who says we are following orders is not only echoing the defense that has always been offered by the people who have done the most evil things in the history of government here and around the world. But that person is unnamed, so we have no idea who said we are following orders. So how do we believe that person? And then there is Emily Murphy, who lied to us for 15 straight days about there not being an apparent winner of the presidential election. For the first week that Emily Murphy was holding out, most of the news media was ignoring her and completely blaming Donald Trump. But then Emily Murphy held out for another week, and Emily Murphy held out for 16 days. And in those 16 days, Emily Murphy has now taken public ownership of this crime against democracy, along with Donald Trump, who is a crime against democracy.